Alright gamers, Nintendo fans, and especially Super Mario fans, let's take a look at Super Mario Maker 2 on Nintendo Switch. Yes, after of course the success of the Nintendo Wii U exclusive, which wasn't exclusive at the time, which eventually got a 3DS re-release, and at the time that was the only way to play Mario Maker on the go, but sadly you weren't able to simply upload the levels that you created to anybody online, which completely defeats the purpose of this considering that the 3DS was Wi-Fi compatible. I don't understand that. But that was until Nintendo Switch came around, the famous hybrid, best-selling console, and even though the Wii U sold poorly, still, this was one of the best games and only reasons to buy the Wii U aside from a few other titles. Though the Nintendo Switch, thankfully, knocked it right out of the park, and of course they re-released a lot of Wii U titles, judging by the fact that they're trying to basically sweep that one under the rug and make it be forgotten. Because the Switch has pretty much blown sales out of proportions, and we knew right off the bat that Super Mario Maker was going to get that same treatment, a re-release. Well, thankfully, it came into fruition. As a sequel, as I mentioned, Super Mario Maker 2. Yes, so, how well does it hold up? Well, let's grab our Nintendo Switch hybrid consoles. Let's-a go. First thing, of course, you get that classic intro. And, well, I'm only going to be talking about mostly the things that are added into this game that you haven't seen in previous games, because you pretty much know most of the basic mechanics of it. Create levels, and thankfully it doesn't have that bullshit thing that you have to unlock everything by playing it for 10 minutes, you know, that time period nonsense and any of that, having to change the time, cheat. Yep, it just gives you everything right off the bat. Well, almost. There are a few unlockable things. And while the game is mostly an app, like the previous game, there are some actual gameplay elements that make it more than that. So, yeah. To answer your question, yes, you can create levels, no matter where you are, even on airplane mode. But you can't upload them, and of course you can't try and play through or even download people's uploaded levels, unless you're in a spot where there's internet. That's a no-brainer right there. But not to get too carried away, there's also a basic adventure story mode, which in my opinion is actually fun. It's a good time killer, it gets you familiar with the gameplay elements and what you're really going to expect. Now, there is actually a story to this, and that is that the Undo Dog, yes, you remember from the previous game, it makes a return in this one, accidentally steps on the delete button, completely deleting Peach's castle. So from there, you have to rebuild the castle, and to do so, you have to complete levels and collect coins, because each part of the castle that you have to rebuild requires them. And some of these cost a lot more than another, especially as you progress further on in this story mode. So in other words, you're going to need a shit ton of coins. And each one of them takes a certain amount of time to rebuild. So every time you go to play a level, the progress of each reconstruction project moves a step forward. Yeah, see those little hammer symbols right there? That means the Toads are busy at work and making some progress. And to make their work easier and quicker, you go play the levels to try to collect coins, and that's how you do it, by completing each level, which they give you the star ratings depending on what the difficulties are. Not to mention, they also tell you how many coins you'll get as a reward for completing them. And as well as collecting coins, there are also some interesting twists and turns that they add into this, like having to go rescue a Toad to help the construction project itself get completed, because, well, you gotta have one of them to get the job done. As well as a bunch of other cool little secrets and tricks that the story mode has to offer. In other words, as I said before, plenty enough to keep you busy for a while, and a great way to check out some of the uniquely creative levels, which some are easy, while others can be straight up crazy and hard as hell. But once you've beaten the whole thing and rebuilt the entire castle, well, you get the hammer tool as a weapon that you can use. Yep, an item, to be exact, when creating levels. Helps you break through blocks. Not much to say there. It's not the same exact Hammer Brothers thing from Super Mario 3, but it's close enough. Though it's not available on the Super Mario Bros. 3 option, in fact it's not available on any of the 4 options that you remember from the previous Mario Maker game. It's actually available on the newest edition, based on Super Mario 3D World. Yes, the Wii U Classic, which got a re-release on the Switch just recently. And even though that was a 3D Mario game, it's still only down to 2-dimensional, so I guess you can sort of call it 2.5D if that makes any sense. But yes, that hammer power-up is only available if you choose this style of level designing, and that's just one of many new big additions to this game. There's a lot of new things added to this game, which I'll get to in a little bit, but most of the gameplay, level creating mechanics, if you played the previous game as I mentioned, should seem very familiar. It's all there, and it works just the way you remember it. You get the same tools and power-ups from the previous game, well, depending on which one you selected. You know, like Super Mario Bros. 1, Super Mario Bros. 3, Super Mario World, and Super Mario Bros. U, all back from the 2015 predecessor release on Wii U, alongside the perfect new edition. But once again, nothing for Super Mario Bros. 2 USA, that is until of course one of the newest updates came around, giving us a little nod to that game, and that is with this mushroom specifically. You get the mushroom, you don't even have to pick it up like in that game, and automatically you get the music from that game, whether it's the overworld or underground theme, as long as you keep the mushroom, because as soon as you lose it, it goes back to the music that you had on before. But if you manage to go through without losing it, the music keeps playing, yes, even the level complete theme, and that's pretty much it. Aside from being able to pick up certain enemies, that's pretty much it for that one. And it's only available in Super Mario Bros. 1, just in case you're wondering. And you also get the giant mushroom on this one as well, which helps you break through blocks. So those are the newest power-ups in that one. Mario World, you get the Balloon Mario, but it's not like it was in that game originally. No, you actually can control the direction of it, and it doesn't wear out. Mario Bros. 3, no additions unfortunately. It would have been nice to include maybe the Tanuki suit that helps you turn into a statue for a brief period, you think? Same thing with Super Mario Bros. U, all the same returning stuff. How about the Ice Flower? You know, the one that lets you shoot the freezing fireballs, which you get in most of the snow levels, and yep, you get them in this game. Which brings me to the newest additions, with this being the newest type of level design in this game, yep. Snow, slippery ice, falling icicles, and even snow pokies and snowballs that you can pick up, all in except the Super Mario Bros. 1 style of level designing. Yeah, you can only kick them and hope they go in the direction that you want them to. But hey, in all the other ones, you can pick them up and throw them, which makes for a pretty good design to a snowball fight level. You could also go dry with the desert stages. You also got the forest stages, which I mostly remember from Super Mario World, but nope, they're in every single one. And you also can take note of the water. That's because you have the option to raise and lower it at a patternly basis. Yep, they go up, and they go down, and repeat as many times depending on how you programmed it. And same goes with lava too. Though this is only on the Bowser Castle levels, which makes perfect sense, obviously. And remember the Angry Sun in Super Mario Bros. 3? Well, you have that in this game. And another trick that you can do with this, you could tell it good night, switch it to the moon, and boom, you get nighttime stages in every single one of them. And this is where you notice a lot of cool tricks and secrets that this game has to offer. Of course the moon isn't deadly like the sun is if you touch it. And it just brings that cool atmospheric vibe and music that was absent in the previous Mario Maker game. In the haunted house stages at night, it makes everything completely pitch black, giving you a much spookier atmosphere, as well as more challenge with trying to dodge enemies in the pitch black, while at the same time trying to find a light source. Like, say, a fire flower? Yeah, that'll light up the room pretty good. Same thing applies with the underwater stages at night, almost like you're swimming in a deep, dark abyss. While on the basic ground and airship stages, the gravity levels are pretty normal, except for the Goombas, which seem to float around. But then in the sky stages, gravity levels, damn, you float around like you're on the moon. Yeah, guess you could say that's one small step for Mario. And then in the Bowser Castle levels, well, it doesn't go pitch black surprisingly, but instead, you swim through the air, like you're underwater. What the hell's going on here? Then in the winter stages, every single surface becomes much more slippery. Yeah, I guess because everything freezes up at night. Makes sense there. And then in the forest stages, this deadly purple acid is added in. And trust me when I say, it's not grape soda. It's basically the purple equivalence of lava, which, yes, just like that, and the water levels, you can program this one too as well to lower and raise it. In the desert stages, you get strong winds that go forward and back, in the Mario World version that is. In all the other versions, it's different. In Mario Bros. 1, it blows on and off to the left. Mario Bros. 3 blows on and off to the right. And then in Mario Bros. U, it blows non-stop to the right. There doesn't seem to be any way to customize the directions in these versions, unfortunately. And then let's go underground at nighttime, and everything's flipped upside down. It's like Super Mario Galaxy, in 2D. Oh yeah, and you can use the music from that game too as well. Only one of them, which is Gusty Gardens to be exact. As well as the theme from Super Mario 64, you know, the sliding stage. And even the Delfino Plaza theme from Super Mario Sunshine. Not bad, but it would have been nice to include more themes, like maybe more from Super Mario Galaxy. I mean, that soundtrack was awesome. You also get the mini boss fight, and even Bowser battle music that's, well, different, but fits in perfectly depending on which type of level designing it shows. You also get the Mario Kart Super NES theme, kind of seems out of nowhere right there. You get a lot of the returning sound effects that you probably all remember, as well as some new ones there that weren't in the previous game. And also at nighttime, I have to add, there's the rotten mushrooms. Well, only on the ground stages, of course, and they're basically the equivalents of the poison mushroom in Super Mario 2 The Lost Levels, except it follows you around every chance it gets. But it has the same exact effect, so in other words, don't touch it. There's a lot of new enemy additions to this game, and as you expect with Super Mario 3D World, if you played that game, a lot of them that you're familiar with should be in here. Like the crawling ants, jumping mice, both regular and ones with spikes on their backs, the stinger bees, those guys who throw the spiked objects at you, and yes, you can even change them to the spiked ball by itself that rolls around. You got those big metal bully guys, the big long extending piranha plant that you can jump and bounce off of, those green things that you can use as trampolines after you jump on them, and even that big fire dragon that swims around and is pretty much unstoppable. Alongside all that, you also get objects like the invisible pipes, those blocks that you have to make appear by hitting one of them multiple times, the different colored disappearing and reappearing blocks that work in a timely manner, those big spiked blocks, the warp blocks that transport you from one place to another, and even ones that you can only access by collecting a certain amount of these round question mark symbols. Yeah, if you played the game, these should seem familiar to you. And even those big bell-looking trees that you can climb up and put power-ups inside of, which wouldn't be appropriate without, you guessed it, a Cat Mario costume. Yep, you can climb walls, swat at enemies, and it wouldn't be the perfect addition to this game if the level was completed in a cat costume without Mario saying, meow. Nice added touch there, I will say. And while unfortunately there's no cat Goombas, though there are giant cat bullet bills, but most importantly, you get the cat Bowser. Actually, that's his only form when using this style of level designing. And yes, you can enlarge him, but unfortunately you cannot subtract the cat costume. I guess you could say that's his idea of wearing the cat's pajamas. You also do get the boomerang power-ups, and those things that go on your head. Yeah, you know, there's several of them. One of them fires the bullets out, and you can even hold it in. Fire a big one. You got the other bullet bill one, which helps you soar horizontally in the air, like a bullet. And for a pretty good amount of time until it runs out of gas, which will eventually happen, of course. And you got the Goomba ones, which makes it so enemies won't bother you when they see you. And you got a POW block, which you can use up to 3 times because, well, it spells the word POW, to take out enemies by hitting your head on the ceiling. And the propeller one, which just like the power-up in Super Mario Bros. Wii and Wii U, helps you fly straight up for a brief period. You also get the Koopa car that, yes, you can drive around in, as well as the other mini-bosses from Super Mario 3D World called Pom-Poms. They're basically just their version of the Boom Booms, which also make their debut in this game. Yeah, remember those guys from Super Mario Bros. 3 and the Fortress levels? They're in here. And thanks again to one of the updates of this game, you now get the 7 Koopa kits. Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about right there. And yes, you can even enlarge them too as well, and even put them all in the same room. Damn, it's like Nintendo's finally answering to what the fans really wanted out of the sequel. And this is it right here, folks. This is exactly what I wanted to see out of the sequel. And yes, you get Bowser Jr. too as well making a return. But getting back to the new stuff, remember those giant porcupine-looking fish from Super Mario World? Well, surprisingly they're not in here, unless you're using the Super Mario 3D World style of designing. But in the Super Mario World style, as well as Super Mario Bros. U, you do get the red Yoshi, who can shoot fireballs. You also can get the shells from those dry bone guys that you can use to float across lava. On and off switches that solidify and unsolidify both red and blue blocks.